Hi, and thanks for watching the City of Saratoga's video series about the Housing Element Update. This video will discuss different values and priorities the community must consider as we decide which changes to make to Saratoga's housing element in order to meet state requirements. If you haven't seen the other videos in the Housing Element series, you can find them online at www.saratoga.ca.us/housing. You can also subscribe to the Housing Element newsletter, find the schedule of upcoming community meetings, and schedule a small group meeting. The city has also launched a survey about the Housing Element Update, and we want to hear from as many community members as possible. The goal of this survey is to gain a better understanding of the community's opinions on housing, strategies, and policies that we can discuss further at the next series of community meetings in June. The outcome of this survey and the community meetings will help shape the housing element. We recommend that you finish this video before taking the survey so you're familiar with the options and fully prepared to consider which qualities of Saratoga are most important to you to retain and where you're open to compromise. To plan for over 1,700 new housing units across all income levels in Saratoga, we have to make some changes and tough decisions. So please keep that in mind when taking the survey. The state also requires the solutions we come up with to be truly realistic strategies for developing and preserving an adequate supply of housing, including housing that will be affordable for seniors and young families. Because these strategies must be realistic, we can't make a plan that relies on building more than 1,700 accessory dwelling units or putting all of our allocated units in one skyscraper. Now let's take a look at some of the reasons people are drawn to live in the Saratoga community and some potential strategies to meet the state-mandated housing allocation. Many Saratoga neighborhoods are currently made up of single-family homes. In some single-family neighborhoods, housing density could be increased by allowing larger lots to be divided into smaller lots, so additional single-family homes could be built. Or the city could allow duplexes, triplexes, or fourplexes to be built in single-family neighborhoods. However, the city doesn't only need to plan for more housing. We also need to plan for increased affordability, so we need a diverse range of housing types for different income levels. The state assumes that developments of 20 units per acre or more will be affordable. This means the city will need to change the zoning in areas of Saratoga to allow for more apartments, condos, or townhomes to be built. Adding more affordable options to Saratoga makes it possible for a diverse population to live here, including young adults who grew up in Saratoga, baristas, grocery store clerks, teachers, social workers, and first responders who serve the community. We also need to consider what type of housing Saratoga should have for older adults or students. As a reminder, to count towards Saratoga's regional housing needs allocation, these units need to be completely independent living facilities that each have their own kitchen and bathroom. There are also a number of factors to consider when deciding where to place these different housing types. When taking the survey, think about whether or not it's important to you to preserve existing commercial locations, such as shopping centers with grocery stores. We know the community was disappointed to lose much of the commercial space at the Quito Village Shopping Center due to SB 35. Would you prefer to maintain commercial businesses at other locations like Argonaut Shopping Center, or would you rather plan for housing there to comply with state mandates? One strategy to retain commercial businesses while adding residential housing units is mixed-use projects. Would you like to see mixed-use projects in Saratoga with commercial businesses on the ground level and apartments or condos above? Consider how you would feel about Santana Row-style development in the village. To make mixed-use projects feasible, they often require multiple stories to allow for both commercial and residential. As we mentioned, the state assumes that any development at a density of 20 units or more per acre meets the criteria for below market units. Accommodating developments at this density may require 3 to 5 stories or more depending on the site. How important is it to you that the city retain a practice of limiting buildings to 2 to 3 stories? Would you be okay with increased height limits throughout Saratoga or only in parts of Saratoga? Speaking of commercial areas and Quito Village Shopping Center, the city was required to approve that project, which will result in the construction of 90 townhomes, and only 9 of them were required to be affordable. As part of the housing element update, the city will need to consider programs that help low-income individuals and families. Do you think the city should require developers to include affordable units as part of new housing development projects? The survey will also ask you to consider if you would like to limit growth in Saratoga's hillsides and areas at risk for wildfire. Roughly half of Saratoga is in the Wildland urban interface, or WUI, which is the area of the city that is most at risk for wildfire. This is a factor the Association of Bay Area Governments took into consideration when setting Saratoga's regional housing needs allocation. Not building in the Wildland urban interface means increased housing density would only occur in the half of the city that is outside the WUI. We understand that considering all of these factors we mentioned is challenging, and the decisions we make during this process will be difficult. Many people feel there are both pros and cons to all of the options on the table. So together as a community, we need to decide which choices work best for Saratoga. Please visit www.saratoga.ca.us/housing to take the survey by Friday, June 18th to make sure your voice is heard. We'll take the results of this survey and begin to shape potential policy options for the community to review. We'll discuss this all in further detail at the next series of community meetings in June. At those meetings, we will continue the discussion on priorities and values, but also go more in depth on the recommended policies based on the community's feedback. Those community meetings will be held on Thursday, June 10th from noon to 2 p.m., Tuesday, June 15th from 7 to 9 p.m., and Saturday, June 26th from 9 to 11 a.m. The 3 meetings will be held on different days and at different times to accommodate a variety of community members' schedules, but the content presented at all 3 meetings will be the same. This information is also available on the city's website at www.saratoga.ca.us/housing, where you can watch the other videos in this series and sign up to receive the Housing Element newsletter to make sure you never miss an update throughout this process. Thanks again for watching, and we look forward to working with you.